Hey everybody, Richard Gaming Guy here. Today I'm going to show you guys around this $12 PC that I picked up, and I'm going to show you guys how we can turn this $12 PC into an emulation powerhouse that far exceeds the performance and capabilities of a Raspberry Pi 4. So let's jump into it. Alright, so here is the $12 PC I just picked up. Now I did not know that it was going to work when I picked this up, so I did take a little bit of a gamble, but it came with a power supply cable. And these power supply cables go for about $10 to $12 right there, so I knew there was no way I was going to lose any money on this. And luckily, this turned out to be an amazing purchase. This is a Dell Optiplex 3010, and just to give you an idea of the specs on this, the specs are that this is an Intel Core i5 3450 with 3.1 gigahertz and 8 gigabyte RAM. It's also got a DVD disk drive in here, which is cool to have. And I noticed down here when I saw this that it has a Windows 7 sticker on it. So I figured it's got Windows 7 on here. It's about 10 years old, but I was pleasantly surprised to find out that somebody had upgraded this to Windows 10. So inside here we have a hard drive. It's a 1000 gigabyte hard drive, and it's already got a fresh install of Windows 10 on it. So I'm going to turn this over, show you guys what it looks like inside, and it's the easiest way to actually open this up. We've got this little tab right here. You can put your fingers in, just simply pull it back towards you, and it drops down like so. So easy access to literally everything inside of here. So I'm just going to move this panel aside, and you can see we've got a great layout. Wide open space, we have excellent airflow in here. We have the disk drive, easily accessible, hard drive down here, and this is a really good size cooling fan, much larger than one that you would have on like a Raspberry Pi 4. Raspberry Pi 4, for example, would be probably, I would say, at least a quarter of the size of that, probably even less. I mean, the Raspberry Pi ones are about that big, so you can see definitely, I would say, a quarter of the size of what we have in here. And this is a good size fan, and we also have one back here as well, which I actually didn't even notice until right now. So all we need to do here is take this hard drive out, and we can do one of two things. We could either put in a replacement hard drive, which is what I'm going to do today, or we could erase the data that's currently on this hard drive if we are positive that we don't want to use this as a regular PC, we just want to use it for emulation purposes. I could just take this, wipe Windows 10 directly off of it, and put Batocera on here, and then I'd be able to add in all my game collections and all of that. Today I'm actually going to just replace this though, because if this wasn't a fresh install of Windows 10, then I would just wipe it and put Batocera on here. But with it being a fresh install, I want to kind of keep that on hand. So I'm going to upgrade it to, I actually have one of these lying around. It's a 8 TB hard drive. You do not need to have that large of a capacity hard drive. It's totally overkill, especially for something like this, which is not going to have enough power to get you into like Xbox, GameCube, Wii, PlayStation 2, or PlayStation 3. This is going to get us into everything from classic arcade, Neo Geo, NES, Super Nintendo, Famicom, N64, PSP, PlayStation, what else? Sega Saturn we're going to be able to play on here, which is something that we cannot use a Raspberry Pi 4 for. There's just no way to emulate Sega Saturn on a Raspberry Pi 4 effectively. So that's where we're going to see some advancements in performance here that we would not be able to get on a Raspberry Pi 4. But again, you could use this right here. So I am going to be replacing this. So I just want to be straightforward about that. The only reason I'm replacing this is because I want to preserve the fresh install of Windows 10 on this hard drive that comes in here. So all we need to do, there's a tab right here. We're just going to push that down, and it pulls the hard drive caddy right out. We have two connection cables here. We're just going to disconnect those. Really simple here. And all we have to do is lift up on this tab now, and we can actually slide this hard drive right out. There's a couple little spots here, and I'll show you. We have holes here, 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 and here, and there's these little tabs inside this caddy that slide into those. So we're going to remove that. And again, you can use the existing one there and just put Batocera directly on that. I'm going to be using this one right here, so just make sure that your connections line up. In this case, I'm actually flipping this the opposite way from the one that was already in here. I'm just going to line up those little tabs there with the holes on the hard drive itself. And we should be able to do so without having to wrestle it too much. And look at that. Locks right in place perfectly. All we need to do is just simply, actually we'll make those connections first. So just line up your connections. It's really foolproof. The big one fits where it fits. The little one fits where that fits. There's no way to mix up those connections at all. And we just simply put it down. There's some little feet that we have to lock in place, and we just push this forward. Hear it click in, really secure. It's going to be in good shape there. That's literally all we need to do. So we do need to have Batocera on there, but you can go to the Batocera website, simply download that directly to your hard drive or SSD if you want to use an SSD. SSDs are probably the better route to take, but they're much more expensive than what we have right here. This again is an 8 TB hard drive. You do not need to have that, but this 8 TB hard drive was like $120. So $120 for that. If you're getting a smaller one comparable to what we had in here, obviously this one came with it. That one's free. That's probably the route you should take. If you need to replace this though, you're going to be able to do so really inexpensively. Just jump onto Amazon. I'll actually put some links in the description of this video to a couple different hard drives that I've actually personally used and recommend. So I'm going to put this panel back on the side here. Just make sure that you line up the little tabs across the bottom with the corresponding holes. And push it up into place. You're just going to push just like that, and it locks right in place. So I'm going to boot this up. I've got the power supply here. I just got to connect that to the back. I'm going to connect this to my TV via an HDMI connection, and then we're going to boot this up, and I'll show you guys on screen how this boots up with Batocera. All right, so we just jumped into Batocera here. Everything's booted up. You can see we landed on N64. So I'm going to show you guys around this build really quickly. I have a full tour video available on this 4 TB Batocera build that I put together. So I'll put a link in the description of this video so you guys can check that out if you want to see in depth exactly what this has to offer. But I'll take you guys through it really quickly here. We have Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, Nintendo GameCube, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, Nintendo Wii, which is not going to work not too well anyways, I don't think, on this particular PC that we have. It's just, I don't think we're going to lack the power to properly emulate that effectively. But we have Open Beats of Rage. We have some ports in here. The Thomas Wave, Sega Master System, Sega Genesis, Game Gear, Sega Saturn, which is a collection we should be able to emulate on here perfectly. And that's going to be an advancement that we have over the Raspberry Pi computer boards. Moving on from that, we have Genesis 32X, Model 3 from Sega, Dreamcast, Naomi, Neo Geo, PlayStation, PS2 and PS3, which are not going to be emulated on this PC. We just don't have enough power here to effectively emulate those two collections. Moving on, we also have Capcom games. These are some custom collections I put together. We have MAME. We have all the Ataris, 2600, 5200, 7800. MSX 1 and 2. We have Xbox on here, another collection that's going to be just a little bit beyond what we can handle with this particular PC. But everything else on here is going to work. We have NES, Famicom, Game Boy, Original, Super Nintendo, and we are back to Nintendo 64. So we're going to jump into a bunch of titles here. I think we should start it off, though, since I mentioned Sega Saturn. We're going to get everything kicked off with some Sega Saturn games.
Wade Boggs. Ball one. Ball two. There's a high fly ball to right. Just waiting for that baby to drop. And he makes the catch to record the out. Bernie Williams. Right. A grounder to the right side. Should be fairly routine. They got him. Paul O'Neill. Ground ball to the right side. Should be fairly routine. See ya. Marquis Grissom. Fly ball to center. He's off to the races. It's in there for a hit. He's Budman, Jeff Blauser. Strike. That's a fly ball to center field. Canacorn. He's got that one. Chipper Jones. Right. A grounder to the right side. Foul ball. A shot to the right side. He's out of there. Double play.
Please select a race course. Please select a race course. Please choose manual or automatic transmission. Gentlemen, start your engines.
7 laps to go. Hang in there. You're looking good. Are you all right?
Alright, so Sega Saturn is running perfectly on here. No issues with the performance emulating these games. We jumped into 3D Baseball. Everything was smooth there. Jumped into Daytona USA. Everything other than my driving skills was perfect there as well. So we're going to jump into some Dreamcast and do some tests over here.
You are now entering the Valley of Fire. Destroy generators to stop enemies. Some barrels contain items. Use key to open treasure chests. Save keys to open doors and chests. Avoid dangerous objects. One runestone has been found. Collect gold to buy power-ups. Turbo attack.
Welcome back to the stage of history. Nightmare versus Maxi. Battle 1, fight! Out of the ring! This victory strengthened the soul of Nightmare. You win! Battle 2, fight! This victory strengthened the soul of you. Nightmare versus Killing. Battle 1, fight! Out of the ring! This victory strengthened the soul of Nightmare. You win! Battle 2, fight!
Alright, so Dreamcast, we jumped into Gauntlet Legends, as well as Soul Calibur. Performance, again, perfect. No lags, no delays, no screen tearing, no audio cutouts. Everything was perfect. So we're going to jump into some PlayStation now and test out the performance over there. Alright, so everything here in PlayStation on Crash Team Racing was perfect, just like everything else so far. So now it's time to kick it up a notch. Let's try some N64. N64 is typically a little bit harder to emulate. So we're going to jump into 2 titles over there, give that a test. All right, so we just jumped into Cruisin' USA for N64. The reason I chose Cruisin' USA is because it's a nightmare to emulate on most platforms and systems, and on a Raspberry Pi 4 using RetroPie, this particular title is just an absolute nightmare. You end up with stutters and screen tears and just a massive amount of lags and audio cutouts. So the fact that we were able to emulate this perfectly without any of those issues on here says a lot. We also jumped into Mario Kart 64. That game is a little bit easier to emulate, but there's definitely a smoother performance overall right here on this $12 PC than you would get on most computers or platforms. All right, so now we're going to jump into some Nintendo GameCube. And now I don't have my hopes up for this collection. This is a tougher emulation than a lot of the collections we've jumped into so far. GameCube is something that we couldn't even think about trying to attempt to get into on a Raspberry Pi 4 or a lot of single board computers. In fact, I don't think there's any single board computers out there that are going to enable us to get into anything GameCube related. So we're going to test this out. We're going to see what happens. Again, I'm not really sure how this is going to go.
comes the kick. And this game is underway.
Time to get dirty.
Ball at the 24.
Gonna look good. I look real good.
Full house in the backfield.
25!
The screen pass. Rolling right.
Now that is football.
Yeah, a quick gain now.
Second
Now
down.
set to go.
Split! Split!
Corner. To hold. Come on.
They just got the signals crossed there.
Well, what do you suppose happened?
Well, when I was playing, that usually happened because
Third
someone
down.
screwed up.
I'm just guessing, but for some reason I think that someone had their name.
Makes the catch look easy.
Now that is football.
Let's get it
Now in punt formation.
Fight!
Bad punt.
All right, so I'm totally blown away that the performance for GameCube emulation was as smooth as it was here. I would say that this was perfect. The Mario Kart Double Dash especially blew me away. That's a really tough game. I was honestly just going to test that out, see if it crapped out on us, and move on from there to another collection. But that proved that this PC is just an absolute powerhouse when it comes to emulation. I really did not expect that, so we had to push it a little bit further. The next game I kind of figured was going to run since Double Dash did, but then we checked out NFL Blitz here, and that game as well. Absolutely perfect. So again, just totally blown away by the performance emulating GameCube here. Did not expect that at all. All right, guys, we jumped into a whole bunch of retro gaming collections on here. We jumped into PlayStation 1, N64, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, and GameCube. And the performance across the board was absolutely fabulous. I did not expect GameCube to go the way that it did. I honestly wasn't even going to jump into GameCube. I just figured it's going to be way beyond what this PC is capable of, and the performance in all three games was perfect. So $12 for this PC. This proves that you don't need to have a Raspberry Pi 4 in order to get into emulation gaming. You also don't need to have a gaming PC. There's so many budget-friendly options out there. You know, you do have to sacrifice size in this case when comparing it to a Raspberry Pi 4, but the performance here is way beyond what a Raspberry Pi 4 has to offer. The improvements on the actual games that you can get into in a Raspberry Pi 4 was much better. Cruis'n USA being a great example of that. Cruis'n USA on a Raspberry Pi 4 running RetroPie is pretty terrible. Unplayable, I would say. Here it was super smooth, and then of course we've got GameCube and we've got Saturn, and you can't even think about jumping into those collections on a Raspberry Pi 4 running RetroPie. So endless possibilities here. It has a whole lot to offer, and again, price point, $12, you cannot beat that. So not to say that you're going to necessarily find that great of a deal out there, but I've got 5 other PCs I'm going to be doing videos on, and of these 5 PCs, performance-wise, they should be around the same level here, and the most expensive one that I grabbed was $35. So a lot of businesses used PCs like this, and this one's over 10 years old. What ends up happening is these businesses, they use them for a while, and then they upgrade, and they have no use for them. So they usually will sell them really inexpensively on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and some of those other platforms that you go on to get some deals. So don't hesitate to go out there, see what's out there, see what you can do in terms of finding a budget-friendly PC like I've got right here. But that's going to do it for today. If you guys enjoyed this video, you found this helpful, you found it entertaining, smash the like button for me. It's a huge help here on YouTube. And of course, hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop for all future videos. Like I said, I got a bunch of other PCs I'll be doing some builds on and testing them out. So definitely subscribe to stay in the loop for those future videos here. That's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time on the Retro Gaming Guy YouTube channel.